Stories found between midnight and morning. Archive 020. The Ouija session that never ended. Status: unresolved. Recovered: 1:13 a.m. Source: police interviews. Livestream archive. Audio journals. Digital forensics. Most people believe Ouija boards are one of two things. They're either harmless toys or dangerous enough to avoid entirely. Our investigators reached a different conclusion. After reviewing recovered video, audio recordings, police interviews, and digital forensic evidence, they determined the board itself was never the greatest concern. The greater concern was what answered. What follows is a reconstruction compiled from surviving evidence recovered during the disappearance of 23-year-old Emily Carter. Several names have been changed at the request of surviving family members. The evidence itself has not. The events began on the evening of October 30th. Halloween was less than 24 hours away. Emily invited 3 close friends to her apartment for what they jokingly called a proper Halloween night. There would be pizza, ghost stories, a live stream, and one antique Ouija board that Megan had purchased earlier that week from the estate sale of an elderly woman just outside Asheville, North Carolina. None of them considered themselves believers. Tyler openly admitted he expected the whole thing to be fake. Noah was more interested in entertaining the live stream audience than speaking to spirits. Emily simply thought it would make for a memorable evening. Only Megan seemed uneasy. When she removed the board from its weathered wooden case, the room briefly grew quiet. It wasn't the inexpensive cardboard version most people recognize. The board was carved from dark walnut. Every letter had been engraved by hand. The planchette was unusually heavy, made from matching wood with a polished glass window set into its center. Tyler reached for it. Megan immediately stopped him. "No jokes," she said. Police interviews later confirmed every witness remembered those exact words. She explained that her grandmother had owned a Ouija board for decades. Whether anyone believed in them wasn't the point. Respect was. She insisted they follow every rule exactly. No mocking, no dares, no trying to provoke whatever might answer. Always remain polite. Always ask permission before asking questions. And above all, always end the session properly. Everyone agreed. At 9:17 p.m., the live stream began. 4 hands rested lightly on the planchette. For several minutes, nothing happened. Emily asked if anyone was present. Silence. Noah asked if any spirits wished to communicate. Nothing. Tyler grinned toward the camera. "I think Grandma's bored retired." Laughter filled the apartment. Even Megan smiled. Then Emily leaned forward. Her expression became noticeably more serious. "If someone is here, who are you?" For nearly 10 seconds, nothing moved. Then the planchette shifted. Slowly, almost reluctantly. Each participant would later swear someone else must have pushed it. The pointer stopped over the first letter. N. Then O. Then T. Emily frowned. Not? The planchette moved again. W. H. O. The room became noticeably quieter. Emily hesitated before asking another question. "What are you?" This time the response came immediately. W. H. A. T. A. M. I. No one laughed. At precisely that moment, investigators documented an unexplained drop in the apartment's recorded temperature based on data recovered from a nearby smart thermostat. One LED studio light flickered. The camera briefly lost focus before correcting itself. No one spoke for several seconds. Finally, Megan whispered, "We're done." Carefully, without rushing, all 4 participants guided the planchette toward the word printed along the bottom edge of the board. Goodbye. They held it there, counted slowly to 5, then removed their hands. The lights steadied. The tension eased. Tyler laughed first. "Well, if we just talk to a ghost, it's the most polite ghost I've ever met." The others laughed with him. The board was returned to its wooden case. The pizza arrived. The live stream continued for a while before they forgot the camera was still recording. By midnight, everyone had gone home believing the evening had ended exactly as it should have. Our investigators reviewing the case agree on almost every detail of what happened that night, except one. According to the recovered live stream, the Ouija session did not end when the participants said goodbye. It ended 38 seconds later, after the apartment was empty. The following week was uneventful. At least, that's what Emily told her friends. According to text messages recovered from her phone, she insisted nothing unusual had happened after everyone left that night. Tyler joked that the ghost must have realized they were too boring to haunt. Emily replied with a laughing emoji. Investigators believe she was already lying. 3 days after the Ouija session, Emily created the first of what would eventually become 17 private audio journals. None were shared with anyone while she was alive. They were recovered from her phone after her disappearance. The first recording lasted less than 2 minutes. Her voice was calm, almost embarrassed. "I don't know why I'm recording this," she said. I need to tell someone, and saying it out loud sounds crazy." She described waking just after 3 o'clock every morning. Not because of nightmares, because someone was whispering. The voice was too quiet to understand. It sounded distant, almost like someone speaking from another room. She searched her apartment twice that first night, locked every window, checked the hallway. Nothing. The second night, the whisper returned. Closer. Still impossible to understand. By the third night, she could make out individual words. They weren't threats. They weren't warnings. They were memories. The voice quietly repeated the name of the golden retriever she'd owned as a little girl. A dog that had died when she was 8. According to interviews with her parents, Emily had never once mentioned that dog's name to any of her college friends. The following night, the whisper changed again. It softly sang part of a lullaby. Investigators later confirmed it matched one her grandmother used to sing when Emily was a child. No recording of that lullaby has ever been found. Emily stopped sleeping with the lights off. Coworkers noticed dark circles beneath her eyes. She blamed midterms. Friends accepted the explanation, but the audio journals told a different story. "They're getting closer," she recorded on the 6th night. "I can't hear footsteps, but every night the voice sounds like it's standing a little nearer." The disturbances soon became physical. Cabinet doors she distinctly remembered closing stood open when she returned from class. A framed photograph fell from the wall without breaking. Her television powered itself on twice during the night. Maintenance inspected the apartment. No electrical faults were found. Police reports indicate Emily never requested assistance. She never reported feeling threatened, only observed. Then came the mirrors. At first she thought exhaustion was playing tricks on her. She would catch the brief impression of someone standing behind her, not moving, just watching. The figure disappeared the instant she turned around. It happened in the bathroom mirror, then the bedroom, then the mirrored doors of the apartment elevator. Every reflection lasted less than a second. Too brief to describe, too consistent to ignore. She stopped looking directly into mirrors. Instead, she began passing them as quickly as possible. In her 9th audio journal, investigators noted a change in her tone. The uncertainty was gone. Fear had replaced it. "I don't think it's trying to scare me." A long silence followed. Then, "I think it's waiting for me to notice it." The final recording from that week ended with an observation investigators would later revisit repeatedly. Emily whispered, "It knows things." Another pause. "I'll remember something, and before I can finish thinking about it, it whispers the rest." No evidence recovered from the apartment explained how anyone could have known the intensely personal memories described in those recordings. There were no hidden cameras, no listening devices, no signs anyone had entered the apartment. By every conventional measure, Emily Carter was alone. According to her audio journals, she no longer believed that was true. The investigation changed 12 days after the Ouija session. Not because the activity became more violent, because someone finally watched the end of the live stream. The original broadcast had lasted nearly 2 hours. Most of it was exactly what investigators expected. 4 friends, laughing, eating pizza, telling ghost stories, making fun of each other. After the Ouija board was put away, the phone used for the live stream remained propped against a bookshelf, quietly recording while everyone forgot it was still running. Eventually, the apartment emptied. The lights remained on. The room sat perfectly still. The recording continued for another 43 seconds before finally ending. No one had ever bothered watching that far. There was no reason to. Until Megan did. She later told investigators she had been trying to find a funny clip to send Emily after noticing she seemed unusually withdrawn. Instead, she found something no one had seen. The apartment was empty. The coffee table sat exactly as they had left it. The Ouija board rested in its wooden box. Except, the lid was open. Investigators initially believed someone had simply forgotten to close it. Then the planchette moved. Not suddenly, not dramatically. It drifted across the board with slow, deliberate movements. There were no hands touching it, no visible strings, no one else in the apartment. Frame-by-frame analysis later confirmed the board never left the camera's view. The planchette stopped over the first letter, N, then O. It paused, long enough for Megan to think the movement had ended. Instead, it continued. S, T, I, L, L. Another pause. Then H, E, R, E. Still here. The planchette remained motionless for several seconds. Then the live stream abruptly ended. Not with a button press. The video file simply terminated. Digital forensic analysts examined the original phone. No evidence of editing was ever discovered. No missing frames, no compression artifacts, no indication the footage had been manipulated. Tyler insisted someone must have played a prank. Investigators recreated the recording dozens of times using the same phone, the same table, and the same lighting conditions. They were unable to duplicate the movement. Megan showed Emily the footage the following afternoon. According to both women, Emily watched it without speaking. When it finished, she quietly asked to watch it again. Then a third time. Finally, she said something detectives would later include in their official report. "I don't remember leaving the box open." Police initially dismissed the statement as stress. Investigators did not. During a second examination of the apartment, photographs taken immediately after the session, something unusual emerged. One still image captured just before everyone stood up clearly showed the wooden lid closed. Another image, taken less than a minute later while Tyler reached for the pizza boxes, also showed it closed. Yet the live stream, recorded continuously from the opposite side of the room, showed the lid open after everyone left. No one could explain the discrepancy. Emily's audio journals changed after seeing the footage. The entries became shorter, more anxious. In one recording, she whispered, "It wasn't talking to us." A long silence followed. Then, "It waited until we left." Another recording ended with a sentence investigators would later describe as the moment the case shifted from a suspected psychological episode into something far more difficult to explain. Emily said quietly, "We thought we were asking the questions. I don't think we ever were. I think it was deciding whether to answer."
Emily stopped trying to prove she wasn't imagining it. Instead, she began trying to understand it. Every strange occurrence was documented. She kept a notebook beside her bed. Each whisper, each reflection, each unexplained sound. She noted the exact time, the weather, whether she had been asleep or fully awake. Investigators recovered the notebook from her apartment after she disappeared. One pattern became immediately obvious. The entity never surprised her. It anticipated her. Emily described thinking about calling her father after weeks without speaking. Before she reached for her phone, a voice whispered from somewhere behind her, "He won't answer tonight." She froze. Her phone remained on the table. 20 minutes later, it rang. Her father apologized for missing her call. He had fallen asleep in his recliner. Emily never told investigators how she knew he had been asleep. She simply crossed out the entry in her notebook and wrote one sentence beneath it. "It answered before I asked." The incidents became increasingly difficult to dismiss. One afternoon, Emily visited the campus library to escape the apartment. She selected a table near the windows and spent nearly an hour trying to focus on classwork. Across the room, a young man suddenly looked up from his laptop, his eyes fixed somewhere just over Emily's shoulder. His expression changed. Confused at first, then frightened. He packed his belongings without saying a word and left the library. Emily later reviewed the security footage with campus police. The student repeatedly glanced behind her. Nothing appeared on the recording. When investigators interviewed him weeks later, he struggled to describe what he thought he'd seen. "I know it sounds stupid," he said, "but it looked like someone was standing behind her. Not close, just waiting." Emily began avoiding crowded places, not because she feared the entity would appear, because she feared someone else might see it. The mirrors continued. Only now, the figure no longer vanished immediately. It lingered. A second, then two. Always just beyond focus. Always too dark to identify. She tried photographing it. Every image showed only her reflection. She tried recording video. Nothing. Whatever stood behind her refused to appear on any device she controlled. Then came the dreams, or what Emily believed were dreams.
Each night, she found herself standing in the same unfamiliar hallway. No windows, no doors, only darkness stretching in both directions. At the far end stood a person, perfectly still, too distant to recognize. Each night, the figure appeared slightly closer. Each morning, Emily woke more exhausted than the night before. Her 12th audio journal lasted less than 30 seconds. "I don't think it's following me anymore." A long silence filled the recording. "I think it's waiting for me." Concerned for her safety, Megan convinced Emily to meet with a local priest known for counseling people who believed they were experiencing paranormal events. Father Michael listened patiently. He never claimed Emily was haunted. He never claimed she wasn't. Instead, he asked an unusual question. "When you ended the session, did you believe it was over?" Emily answered immediately, "Yes." The priest nodded slowly, then asked another, "Did anything answer after you said goodbye?" Emily hesitated. She hadn't yet seen the end of the live stream when they first met. "No." Father Michael looked genuinely relieved. 3 days later, after watching the recovered footage, Emily returned to the church. She arrived without an appointment. Father Michael later told investigators she looked exhausted. Before she could speak, he quietly asked, "You watched the rest of the recording, didn't you?" Emily nodded. He closed his eyes. For several seconds, neither of them spoke. Finally, he said something investigators would later struggle to explain. "If what answered refused goodbye, then you were never ending a conversation. You were asking permission to leave. And something said no." Father Michael agreed to bless Emily's apartment. He arrived the following afternoon carrying only a small satchel, a Bible, a silver crucifix, and a bottle of holy water. Investigators later interviewed him twice. His account never changed. He described the apartment as unusually quiet, not peaceful, quiet in the way an empty church feels after everyone has gone home. Emily watched nervously as he moved from room to room, offering prayers and sprinkling holy water across each doorway. Nothing happened. No sudden cold, no violent reactions, no objects flying across the room. When he finished nearly 40 minutes later, Father Michael smiled. "I don't know what you've been experiencing," he told her, "but whatever it is, go live your life." For the first time in nearly 2 weeks, Emily slept through the night. No whispers, no dreams, no reflections. The second night was just as peaceful. So was the third. Investigators would later note that every recorded disturbance ceased for exactly 72 hours. At 3:11 on the morning of the fourth day, Emily awoke. Not to a whisper, to silence. Complete silence. The hum of her refrigerator had stopped. The traffic outside was gone. Even the ticking clock beside her bed had fallen quiet. She later described the silence as feeling heavy, as though the apartment itself had been wrapped inside thick blankets. Then she heard breathing, not beside the bed, not inside the room, directly outside her bedroom door. Slow, steady, patient. Emily remained frozen beneath the blankets for nearly 10 minutes. Eventually, she reached for her phone. The screen illuminated. 3:12 a.m. She activated the camera and slowly pointed it toward the doorway. Nothing. She lowered the phone. The breathing continued. She raised the camera again. Still nothing.
When she lowered it a second time, the breathing had stopped. In its place came a whisper. So close. Emily fled the apartment before sunrise. She refused to return until Megan accompanied her later that afternoon. Nothing appeared disturbed. The apartment looked exactly as they had left it. Only one thing was different. The notebook Emily kept beside her bed now lay open on the kitchen table. Across the blank page, written in Emily's own handwriting, were 4 words. "You finally heard me." Handwriting analysts later confirmed the writing matched Emily's with remarkable precision. Emily insisted she had never written it. Investigators found no evidence to prove otherwise. Father Michael returned the following evening. This time, his demeanor was noticeably different. He examined the notebook without speaking, then asked Emily a question detectives found peculiar. When it whispers, does it answer questions or does it answer thoughts? Emily didn't hesitate. Thoughts. The priest quietly closed the notebook. I was afraid of that. When investigators later asked him what he meant, Father Michael declined to elaborate. He would say only that there was a difference between something that responded to words and something that understood intention. That distinction prompted investigators to revisit similar cases from around the country. They located reports dating back nearly 80 years involving antique Ouija boards, automatic writing, and unexplained hauntings. The locations varied. The witnesses varied. Even the descriptions of the entities varied. Some reported an elderly woman. Others described a child, a man, a shadow, someone they recognized, someone they feared. But buried within dozens of case files was one disturbing similarity. Every witness eventually reported the same realization. The entity always knew what they intended to say before they said it. Investigators began considering a possibility that had never appeared in any official report before. Perhaps the Ouija board had never opened a doorway. Perhaps it had simply announced that someone was listening. If that theory was correct, Emily had not brought something home with her. Something had discovered exactly where she lived. Emily never spent another night alone. For nearly a week, friends rotated through the apartment, refusing to let her isolate herself. At first, their presence seemed to help. The whispers stopped whenever someone else was in the room. The mirrors showed only reflections. Emily even managed to laugh again. Investigators later realized that detail had appeared repeatedly throughout her journals. The entity never revealed itself in front of witnesses. It waited, patiently, until she was alone. On the 19th day after the Ouija session, Megan stayed overnight. Nothing unusual occurred. The following evening, Tyler took her place. Again, nothing. By the third night, Emily insisted she was feeling better. She thanked her friends for worrying. She promised she'd call if anything happened. At 11:46 p.m., Megan received the last text message Emily would ever send. "I'm okay. Seriously, I think it's finally gone." Investigators believe Emily genuinely believed that. At 3:14 the following morning, Emily activated the voice recorder on her phone. The recording began with silence. Not the ordinary silence of an apartment at night. The strange, heavy silence she had described before. No traffic. No refrigerator. No distant air conditioner. Nothing. Nearly 30 seconds passed before Emily whispered, "It's here." Her breathing became shallow. She sounded as though she were staring at something. "It isn't behind me anymore." Another long pause. It's in front of me. Investigators enhanced the recording repeatedly. Beneath Emily's voice, audio specialists identified what they described as a second pattern of speech. Too faint to isolate, too structured to dismiss as random interference. No one has successfully translated it. Emily spoke again. It isn't what I thought. A quiet sob escaped her. I can't see its face. Then came the first unmistakable sound. A single footstep. Slow, heavy. Somewhere inside the apartment. Another followed. Then another. Each separated by several seconds. Emily never moved. Investigators believe she remained completely still, listening. The footsteps stopped. Several seconds of silence followed. Then Emily whispered something detectives initially struggled to understand. It wants me to ask. Those would be the last words spoken in her normal voice. For the next 11 seconds, the recording captured another voice. It was unmistakably Emily's. Yet every forensic analyst agreed it was not produced the way human speech normally is. The pitch remained perfectly flat. There was no breathing, no change in cadence, no emotional inflection. The voice calmly said, "You invited me." A pause. "You listened." Another pause. "You answered." Then, "We never said goodbye." The recording ended with a sharp burst of digital distortion. At 8:42 that morning, Megan arrived after Emily failed to answer repeated phone calls. She found the apartment locked from the inside. Emily's car remained in its parking space. Her purse sat beside the front door. Her wallet, her keys. Her phone rested on the kitchen counter where the recording had ended. There were no signs of forced entry. No blood. No struggle. Nothing appeared missing except Emily herself. Police searched the building from roof to basement. Maintenance opened utility rooms. Investigators inspected ventilation shafts, crawl spaces, and the surrounding woods. Search dogs followed her scent only as far as the living room. There, they stopped. Handlers reported every dog reacted the same way. Each circled the coffee table where the Ouija board had first been used. Each refused to continue. One handler later described it simply. It was like her trail ended. The official investigation eventually classified Emily Carter as a missing person. No arrests were made. No suspects were identified. To this day, no physical evidence has ever explained how a young woman vanished from a locked apartment without leaving behind a single trace. Only one question remained. If Emily had disappeared, who or what had finished the recording? 6 months after Emily Carter disappeared, the investigation was officially suspended. Not closed, suspended. Police had exhausted every conventional lead. No financial activity. No passport use. No surveillance footage showing her leaving the building. No evidence that anyone had entered. No evidence that anyone had left. It was as though she had simply ceased to exist. The apartment remained sealed while investigators cataloged every item inside. Nearly 200 pieces of evidence were photographed, labeled, and entered into storage. The Ouija board was among them. Detectives expected it to be the same antique board recovered from the coffee table. It wasn't. The evidence inventory described it as a commercially manufactured Ouija board purchased less than 5 years earlier. The carved walnut board seen in the live stream was gone. No officer remembered removing it. No photographs documented when it disappeared. No chain of custody records accounted for the replacement. The antique board had simply ceased to exist. Investigators assumed an evidence mix-up until they opened the newer box. Inside rested a clean planchette. Beneath it lay a single folded sheet of white paper. No fingerprints, no DNA, no indication of when it had been placed there. The message consisted of only 4 handwritten words. "Thank you for answering." Handwriting experts compared it against every known sample connected to the investigation. No match was ever found. The note remains in evidence to this day. Digital forensic analysts continued examining Emily's phone for months after her disappearance. Most of the files contained exactly what investigators expected: photographs, class assignments, text messages, her 17 audio journals, the final recording. Then, during a routine recovery of deleted files, they discovered something no one could explain. A video had been created nearly 11 hours after Emily vanished. The phone had never left police custody. Its battery had been removed. It had remained inside a secured evidence locker under continuous surveillance. Yet somehow, a new file existed. The video lasted only 14 seconds. The screen was completely black. No image, only audio. At first, nothing. Then, a familiar wooden scraping sound. Investigators immediately recognized it. The unmistakable sound of a planchette moving across polished wood. Slowly, letter by letter, the audio captured faint taps, one after another. Forensic technicians reconstructed the movement. The letters spelled a single sentence: "Not finished yet." The recording ended there. No explanation has ever been offered for how the file was created. The FBI's digital laboratory concluded only that the file originated from Emily's phone. Its timestamp was authentic. Its metadata had not been altered. By every measurable standard, the recording should not exist. Father Michael was interviewed one final time before the case was suspended. He agreed to answer only one question. Detectives asked whether he believed Emily was still alive. He remained silent for a long time before responding. "I think, wherever she is, she's still being spoken to." He refused to explain what he meant. This archive has since become required reading in several university courses examining digital evidence and mass witness testimony. Most professors present it as an example of how grief, suggestion, and group psychology can influence memory. They point to stress, sleep deprivation, confirmation bias, equipment malfunction, coincidence. Each explanation accounts for part of the evidence. None account for all of it. Especially one detail. Investigators eventually contacted the family that had owned the estate where Megan purchased the antique board. They hoped to learn where it had come from. The family searched through decades of records, bills of sale, property inventories, old photographs. Nothing. No receipt. No mention. No photograph anywhere in the house showing the board before the estate sale. It simply appeared among the belongings after the owner's death. No one could explain how or where it had been before. Perhaps they never will. Most people believe a Ouija session ends when someone moves the planchette to goodbye. This investigation suggests something far more unsettling. Sometimes, Someone else decides when the conversation is over. And according to the last piece of recovered evidence, that conversation may still be happening. End of record. Status: unresolved. Archived.